Yo, what's up guys, and this is my new character display. So it is 32 by 32 pixels or 8 by 8 characters. And so if I made a screen very similar to this a few weeks ago, but it was 4 by 4. And so before I explain how this works, I want to give you guys a brief overview of how I came to this solution. It all started here. Well, technically there, because that was my first design, but that design did not work, so I rebuilt it, and this is my officially finished design. And so it makes use of three parts. It makes use of the screen, it makes use of the RAM, it makes use of the ROM. And so the screen here, I can write to any spot on the screen, any amount of pixels at a time, and then I can clear the whole screen. I can only clear the whole screen. And this is where I was having some issues, because what if I have a bunch, the screen's completely full, all 16 characters are full, but I want to switch out one character. Well, I could only delete the whole screen, so I could not delete a single character, so I would have to get rid of all the other characters. So there was no way for me to change out a single character. And so this is why I found a method using RAM, which actually most screens use, where you have a large RAM module that holds segments of the screen. So because this is only 1 bit per pixel, I can hold multiple pixels in a byte. So I'm actually not holding 8 pixels in a byte, but I'm only holding 4 pixels in a byte. And that is because the characters are 4 by 4 pixels. And so the screen is basically just a big XY coordinate. So there's 4 values along the X axis, and there's 16 values along the Y axis. And so in this way I can choose to put my 4 pixel segments anywhere on the screen. And so then I have a counter, I'll go over here, I have a counter right here that simply counts up from 0 to 63, so it grabs all 64 segments and puts them into the correlating spot on the screen. How I write something to the screen is very simple. I have this ROM here that contains the 4 by 4 characters, all 16 pixels, and I break them up into layers. So this is the first layer, second layer, third layer, fourth layer. And so then sequentially I unlock one layer and I will write it to a specific byte of RAM. Then I would go to the byte below it and write the second layer, and then the byte below that, and the third layer, byte below that, fourth layer. And so in that way I could write to the screen, or to the RAM technically, and then I will turn on this clock over here and it will constantly be writing to the screen and refreshing. So frames. The issue was it was very, very, very slow. And so even if I turned up the tick speed, it was still very slow. One reason is that the system is very slow, just going through everything. And two, it's because this RAM module is not very lag friendly, so it naturally slows down the game when I speed it up. And this is because of the instant redstone that connects it all. I made a video on that RAM, so if you guys want to learn more about that, go check that out. But then I realized I had to change my design because this was nowhere near as fast as I needed it to be. So I scrapped this and came up with a new idea. And this is where I came up by my 16 by 16 pixel 4 by 4 character screen right here. And so this is just a smaller version of my large screen down there, or this screen's a larger version of this. But I designed this in a really specific way so that I can easily deal with characters. Now this whole screen is broken up into 16 4 pixel by 4 pixel segments. I can clear any of these chunks by using a simple grid system, so I can choose which spot I am deleting, so I can easily delete a character if I want to without messing with anything else. And then right into the screen is very similar, where I have a large ROM module, 16 bits, because it's 4 by 4 pixel characters, 16 pixel characters, and then it's broken up into the layers, and then I have a counter connected to the Y values, and same thing, it's still a grid, it's still 4x values and 16 Y values, but it goes much faster because the memory is actually held in the screen. And these memory modules right here, if I write to it, it creates a little lock, and so that pixel stays on the screen. So the memory is actually held in the screen, and I can easily clear it like that. And so writing a character to the screen is simply just giving it 4 signals to write to the screen and then add 1, write to the screen, add 1, write to the screen, add 1, write to the screen, add 1. Using an arbitrary starting Y level, I can write to any character on the screen. So let's go to the big screen. So the screen is obviously much bigger than my 4 by 4 screen. This is 8 by 8. And I have optimized it slightly so it is a little faster proportionally, I guess. So if we go to the back here, again, it's the same layout here where we have our blocked inputs into a really simple lock right here. And then the bulk of the screen that you guys see right here, all these redstone lines, are actually just spreading it out so that the spacing looks a little better. Because with that screen over there, my original one, there was no spacing in between, so it looked really weird. So I made sure to add a little bit of spacing for the screen. But the actual screen part is right here. Again, you guys can see that is split up into 64 characters now, and again, a very similar grid system, just it has to go higher. This is really ugly over here. But it's a grid system, so I can clear any character on the screen, and then we have, instead of 16 Y levels, we have 32, and then instead of 4 X values, we have 8. The logic for the ROM is the same. I'm using my new memory because it's much more compact, and it can hold more. So this is 256 characters of ROM. That one over there was only 128, so this is much more compact, much faster. Now it is the same logic here, where we split it up into the layers of the screen, and then it's the same idea where you choose what column you want to write to. So then you choose your Y level, you write to the screen, you add one, you switch over to the next layer, and then you write to the screen, you add one, you switch to the next layer, all that. So it's really the same logic. So I tried to make it as fast as I could without making it too buggy, because I do need to run this a lot for my future programs. I tried to avoid using too much instant redstone here. I mean, there's a single instant redstone repeater, which isn't really necessary. I might get rid of that soon. But I want to make this screen produce as little lag as possible. But without further ado, let's actually write to the screen. And so right now we are on, and I'll confirm we are on 20 ticks per second, the normal tick rate. And so if I go down here, here are all my controls. So this is the character, the binary character that I enter in the ASCII value. This is my coordinates on the screen, and you can kind of separate it right here where we have the Y. So we have 8Y and 8X values. We have here, which is the right to the screen, and then we have here, which is a clear row. And on my screen attached to my computer, I actually made a lever for clearing the entire screen, but I don't have that right now. But let's do a little test. So let's test it out. So let's put something in the bottom right corners. We're going to go all the way to the bottom row, and then all the way to the other side. And then let's put, how about an R here? And so these are, the character is in ASCII value binary, so that's just the ASCII value for an R. I don't want to make up my own system for it. So if I start it, I go over here, an R should start to load. It does take a few seconds. And you see it starts to load layer by layer. Okay, so we have our R. Let's put something in this corner right here, the bottom left-hand corner. And so it's not going to be all the way over there. It's going to be 0 over. So instead of the 8th spot, it's going to be the 1st spot. And then we can put in, let's put in a number. Let's put in 2. Okay, perfect. So this is the ASCII value for 2. And then I can load a 2. Give it a sec. And it starts to load the 2 layer by layer. Again, same thing. We can put something in the middle. Let's see. Let's put something like 4 over. And then we can put another letter. We can put maybe an E. How about that? And if we start it, we go over here. And wait for it. The E starts to load. So after we have loaded the E, I can load something above it, maybe. So I will just have to look at my coordinate, and it's not going to be the bottom row, it's the second to last row. So I'm going to go up, and then I can put in the value for, let's say, A. And then if I load it, come over here, and we see that A should start to load. There we go. So using that control panel over there, I can load a character to anywhere on the screen. Now what if I don't like this 2? I don't like that 2 in that corner, and I want to make it a 3. All I have to do is put in the coordinates for that 2, and then put in whatever character I want to put on top of it. So maybe I want to put a 3 on top of it. So we just put in the coordinates, we put in my new character, and we write to it. And it gets cleared, and then we put in our 3. And so 3 starts to load, and there we go. So what if I don't like that A, and I want to delete it? Well, notice when I cleared the 2 and put a 3 in, it first clears it and then it loads the character in. But if I load in a blank character, it's just going to delete the A. So all I have to do is load in the coordinates for the A and then put in a blank character. So this can be really anything that doesn't have an assigned value. I'm just going to put in 8 zeros just to be safe. And then if I were to load that to the screen, it will clear A and not put anything there. It can completely clear A and leave it blank. So what if I don't like this row? So I could go through and delete the 3 and then the E and then the R. That would take a little bit of time, right? But not too long. But what if everything was full? Everything had a character in it. So I'd have to delete 8 characters. Well, that's why I made my clear row function, and later I made a clear the whole screen function so that I can go through and I can click this lever and the whole row gets cleared. And so that way it's much easier, much faster, and I can easily clear an entire row. So I hope I helped you guys understand this a little better. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment. So for now, this is going to be the screen I'm going to be using with my CPU. So stay tuned for my video where I connect this to my CPU and show off some CPU programs. But that's all for now. Peace.